guys, and welcome back to another interview on the channel. Today I'm joined by Ian Downs, matchday announcer at Ashton Gate. How are you, mate?
Yes, I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me.
No worries. So kicking off then, for people who maybe don't know who you are, don't know what matchday announcing is, can you just explain to me and the viewers at home what you actually do at Bristol City?
Yeah, for sure. So essentially, I'm the link between what's happening on the pitch and the fans, and also the press up in the media gantry as well. So pre-match, we try and do a little bit of entertainment. So if you're in your seats early, we'd be on the big screens doing some fun and games. There's always the higher or lower game, which everybody seems to think for some reason is fixed. I don't know why that would be. But yeah, a little bit of that. We do some interviews, that kind of thing for social media. Then during the game itself, I would announce the teams on. I would do what we call team sheets. So we'll run through who's playing. And then during the game itself, the sort of technical bits of announcing, if you like, is obviously announcing all those Bristol City goals, hopefully, fingers crossed, and any substitutions and added time, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So package it all together. And the role has sort of slightly changed since I started. When I started, it was sort of way more of just an audio thing. It was like presenting a radio show, and it sort of slowly but surely turned into more of a TV show. And now with the addition of Robin's TV as well, it's very much a sort of a whole match production, really.
Yeah. So as you said, it's you're on the microphone down pitch side, talking to the fans, all the media stuff. But how did you actually get into the role at Ashton Gate then?
So in my sort of like real job, my daytime job is I'm a TV and radio presenter. I present on a local radio station in Bristol called Sam FM. So we started a sports show back in the day. It was called World of Sport, and was originally presented by a chap called Jed Pittman, who was the ITV sports commentator for a little while. And he took a holiday, and he said, would I cover for him? So he was supposed to be going on holiday for like sort of 2 or 3 weeks. Anyway, he liked it so much where he was, he never came back. So I was there presenting the sports show, and then we got involved in Bristol City, and we started coming to some of the games. And obviously I sort of had those presenting skills. And when the much loved David Lloyd, who was my predecessor, decided that he wanted to retire and just watch football normally rather than having to stand there with a microphone, the club approached me and asked me if I wouldn't mind having a go at it. And the rest of, they say, is history.
Yeah, so it must have been amazing to firstly work on the radio talking about football, the thing like you love, and then to go and actually commentate, not really commentate, but announce at Ashton Gate. It must have been amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's no great secret that I've learnt to love football. I think a lot of the fans will sort of say, oh, but, you know, Downsy's not a football fan, and so on and so forth. There's one thing that I'd like to say to all those people is that as time has gone on, it's really hard not to love football when you're involved at Bristol City, and, you know, some of the amazing things that we've happened. And I will quite freely admit that I'm perhaps not the most knowledgeable about football, perhaps, you know, in terms of tactics and stuff like that, in terms of the history of the club. You know, I'm learning all of the time. And one of the things I'd like to say is thank you to the fans for taking me under their wing and helping me through all that. And hopefully, fingers crossed, as time goes by, I get better. But I think that's true of anyone. You never really know everything about your job, and every day is a school day. But as I say, as the time has gone on, I've absolutely come to love this club and everything it stands for. And you're absolutely right. To be able to stand there pitch side on a match day is such a privilege. And yeah, I definitely have one of the best jobs in the world. No doubt about that.
Yeah. So as you said, you get to stand pitch side and watch the game. Do you ever hear anything in the dugouts or anything that you were just like, oh, why don't you just do that? Or
yeah, there's quite a lot of chat that goes on down there, and anybody that sits in that sort of tunnel area will probably be able to hear it. Obviously, as a good employee of the football club, what goes on in the tunnel area stays in the tunnel area, Ben, I'm afraid. But yeah, I think one of the things I was most surprised about was the interaction with the fourth. So obviously I'm stood right behind the fourth official who would officiate for subs and added time, that kind of thing. But both of the coaches from both teams always have quite a lot to say to the fourth official, and there's quite a lot of banter that goes on, and obviously there's a little bit of game psychology as well, because obviously if you can get the fourth official on your side, then maybe it might just edge one or two decisions your way. So yeah, I've seen various techniques and mannerisms used by all sorts of people, whether it be the gaffer or whether it be any of the assistants. Certainly, the opposition head coach or manager will also have lots to say as well. So yeah, I think that was the most surprising. I was like, oh wow, they're saying that to him. Yeah, always very enjoyable to see who interacts like that.
Yeah. So during your time at Ashton Gate as a matchday announcer, what has been your favourite moment with Bristol City?
I think if you talk to any Bristol City fan, there's always one game that really sticks out, and it was fairly early on in my announcing career, and that amazing game against Manchester United. There's a picture that they took afterwards of my face as I'd walked back into the tunnel, and I'd just gone, oh my goodness, we've just beaten Manchester United. And, the shock and the elation, the joy, the atmosphere in the stadium that night was absolutely incredible. And, I think we'll all remember that famous commentary, "It's Smith," and the joy and the elation that all brought to us all.
It must have been amazing here, the roar of the crowd, and hear all the atmosphere then when you're down pitch side. So how actually loud is it near the tunnel area?
Yeah, it's so loud. It's so loud. And when Ashton Gate is on fire, I can barely hear myself. So what I actually have is I have special in-ear monitors. So you might see them like pop bands or rock bands will wear these in-ear monitors, and they go right into your ear. They're molded into your ear. They when you have them made, they squirt like blue tack into your ear, so it actually fits your ears properly. And then they make little earpieces from them. So I have two of them stuck into both ears like that, so I can hear the matchday director who's telling me what to do and what to say when. But when there's a goal, I mean, I can't even hear myself. I'm on a massive PA system in the middle of a stadium full of 27,000 people. I can't hear myself sometimes. It's that loud. And those are the days you talk about the excitement, the hairs on the back of your neck just sit up and your heart's pounding and that kind of stuff. And I have to say that is one of the best parts of the job. The adrenaline starts pumping, and, when it's good, it's good.
Yeah, so overall, at match day Ashton Gate, what is your favourite part of a match day?
Oh, there's so many. Obviously, being in that sort of tunnel area, when the boys come out for their little knockabout beforehand, you get to say hello and see how they are. Loads of the players will always say hello. They're always really friendly. So catching up on bits and pieces. Also, there's quite a few people, and obviously these are normal match days we're talking about, rather than the slightly sort of odd situation we're in at the moment behind closed doors. But and on that, we can't wait for the fans to be back, because it is such a different experience, and you guys make it, so I'm really looking forward to you being back. But yeah, there's a chap in the tunnel called Alan Headford who's been there for 50 years. He's a real character. He'll always bring me out a sandwich at half time and makes the tea for the boys, so he's a great character. But absolutely my favorite bit of being able to be, have the privilege of being the announcer is announcing those goals. And goodness me, I remember on one particular occasion, Andy Weimann was on absolute fire, and I think, we were sort of winning 4-5-0. And there was another goal, and there was another goal, there was another goal. I was halfway through a sandwich that Alan had brought me once, and then there was another goal. So I had to sort of announce a goal, half sandwich in mouth. But yeah, I mean, that's just the privilege of being able to represent the club on those occasions is just such an honour, really.
Yes, you've said like how amazing it is to interact with everyone. And then you also touched on that with all this Corona stuff. How different actually is it with your job before Corona and then during with behind closed doors?
Sure. I mean, behind closed doors, there's three zones. There's the red zone, the amber zone, and the green zone. The red zone is obviously the pitch and the tunnel area and the changing rooms. I'm not allowed anywhere near there now on a match day. So normally, as I could sort of stroll down the tunnel and say hello to everyone and come in the entrance that the players do. None of that now. So I'm only allowed in the amber zone, which is sort of the seating deck around that area and the press gantry and so on. So first of all, the position I stand in for announcing is different. So I'm sort of away down in the corner, just by A8, which is the disabled platform there. So I get a different view of the game. Obviously, then we can't go pitch side and do any interviews, that kind of thing. It all has to be socially distanced correctly. So we have a big, long microphone on a stick for any of the post-match interviews, that kind of thing. So yeah, it is different. Obviously, then, announcing a goal to absolutely no one, there's no reaction, there's no kind of uplift and joy. So it is very different. Hopefully, fingers crossed, what we did with Robin's TV sort of brought it to life a little bit for people. Obviously, that sort of that program, and bear in mind, we're a football club, we're not a TV station, and pulling Robin's TV together, I think, was absolutely fabulous. Everybody involved in that, I think, did a fantastic job, and it was great to have characters like Taylor Moore and Joe Morrell come up and co-host with us there. Great to see Stanley Hughes from the OSIB podcast as one of our guests, and so on. So, that was hopefully bringing just a little bit of a taste of the atmosphere. I know it's not the same, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it won't be too long.
Yeah, it has been absolutely amazing, Robin's TV, and has kept us watching the games and a couple of wins as well. So finally, I will let you head off to Ashton Gate because you've got the game today. So, but finally, if you had some advice for anyone who wants to get into football media, like match day announcing or anything really, what would your advice be?
You have to work for free for real long hours. As with anything, if you're trying to get into TV, if you're trying to get into radio, sports media is really competitive, and there's lots of ways in, but you just have to be dogged and determined. A bit like the boys, if they're 1-0 down, they don't give up. The heads stay up. You've got to crack on. So get to know your local club, and maybe start in sort of, some of the lower divisions. Get to your local football club and say, hey, do you have an announcer? Do you have a match day presenter? And if they don't, maybe you can be that person and help them with their social media. Obviously, both Instagram and Twitter and Facebook are absolutely huge these days in sports media. Maybe your club is not sort of utilizing the best use of that. So maybe you can sort of become that person, and then you've got a little bit of show reel, maybe some examples of your work that you can send on to bigger clubs, and as those opportunities come up. But just being in the right place at the right time, and I would say, much as my bosses would probably disagree, but if you can be the annoying person that's always there going, oh, can I do that? Oh, can I do that? Can I help you with that? Eventually somebody will go, oh my goodness, yes, all right then, and get you in. Certainly that's how it happens in radio and TV. Obviously in sports media, like the stadium announcers jobs are very few and far between, and I'm very, very lucky to have just been in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is very lucky to the match day announcers. There's only like 92 out there at the minute. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on then. Hope you did enjoy it.
I did, mate. You're very good. I'm sure you're going to be a star of the future. And if match day presenting is ever something you're interested in, I'll be quaking in my boots waiting for you to replace me.
Thanks. So I'll let you head off now. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everyone for watching. And yeah, I will see you on the next